Well, good day, everyone. It's good to be with you once again. It's been a few months since the last time myself or anyone from council addressed the congregation, so it gives me pleasure to do that today. First of all, I'd like to thank and congratulate the staff and a few of the volunteers, most notably the Burns family as far as volunteers goes, and the worship teams that have now recorded some music for our services. And it brought together this online presence that we have. I think it's pretty good quality, and it's enjoyable, and it's informative, and we just want to thank them for that, and encourage them as they carry on. Phase 2 and Phase 3 of this COVID pandemic has now come, and so we're Phase 1, Phase 2, and then Phase 3 just a few days ago was announced. And so I thought it'd be good if we talked about that just a little bit and what the important things are there as it relates to our church. And a few weeks ago, we had a conversation with Dr. Bonnie Henry, and Premier Horgan, and they were addressing to a number of faith communities of people. It was a phone conversation, and we were able to be a part of that. And so they stressed the things that are important for the faith communities, what they can do, where they should be careful. And so then we talked about that, and we've come up with some things that maybe we would like to enhance and to take advantage of as we go forward for the next probably 3 or 4 months, as really this is the state that we're going to be in until Phase 4 happens, which is when some cure comes along or when there's a vaccine, which is certainly some months away. So we're looking for the next 3 or 4 months for sure. So in Phase 2, one of the things we were encouraged to do is to increase the size of your home bubble, where everyone was really encouraged to stay within like a home unit. They've now said, well, why don't you increase that bubble to something a little bigger than that, maybe make it twice as big as that. For us as a church, we started with what we called mini house churches that were really like a home bubble. And now we're asking and encouraging that we would add people to that bubble, to that mini house church, and make it a little bit bigger, to help with the interaction of young children especially, but of vulnerable people, seniors, of everyone, just to increase that social interaction that's so important. And so we want to make sure that we take advantage of that. And so I would encourage you to increase that bubble that you've been living with, to include just some more people. Secondly, we were encouraged that groups of 10 people can also get together. When the 10 people get together, they need to carry on with the protocols that we've become so familiar with, of washing your hands, staying apart, not sharing food, like those kinds of activities. But still, we can have a group of 10 people getting together, and if it's outside, that's so much the better. And as a church, we came up with the idea of putting the big tent out in the parking lot to help facilitate meetings like that, especially through the summer. So the big 20 by 40 tent is in the back parking lot, and you're welcome to take advantage of that. If you want to make sure that it's not booked, maybe book it through the office. We still ask you to bring your own chairs, bring your own food. The playground is available. It's open now, and so it's available for younger children. But to use that, maybe on a steady basis, get together on a Tuesday for coffee, or on a Friday, or whatever it is, for a prayer time. However it is that you would want to use that space and enjoy it. And I think that it would be a real ministry to our community and a blessing to each one of us. The third thing that they allowed for was meetings of up to 50 people. But when we look at it, that sounds good. But when you look at it really, and what the suggestions along with that 50, we're wondering how useful that really is going to be for us. You can meet with 50 people. Again, the same protocols would fall into place. But they want to make sure that nobody attends there that can't keep social distance. So that kind of eliminates really young children that are going to be running around. The other people that they would like to not invite to that group of 50 people would be people that are vulnerable, maybe because of an underlying health condition or whatever that is. One of the conditions being the person is 65 years or older. So in my case, that means I can't come to a gathering of 50 people. So and then on top of that, you're not allowed to sing, because singing apparently spreads the virus more enthusiastically than just regular speaking does. So we wonder how useful that is, but still, that is available. The all-purpose hall could be used for something like that, or maybe the tent, but still we wonder how useful that really is going to be as we move forward. One other thing that I'd just like to talk about just for a few minutes related to the COVID is as we look to the fall and what ministries might look like, we don't know exactly, and so we need to reinvent and to and figure out what this is going to be. Very little is likely going to change, so we have to work within the parameters for the next number of months. And one of the things that we, as we listen to people from the congregation, we hear that there's people doing things that are just interesting and being a real blessing to themselves and maybe to their community, whether it's meeting with neighbors or meeting with other people of the congregation. And let's say, so we're looking at those and saying, how can those things that are kind of homegrown that we're doing, how can we lean into those and help expand those and maybe and be a support to those things, that it can be a continued blessing. And we don't just do that and say, wow, that was fun when that lasted, and then we just drop it and go back to whatever the normal thing that we would do. We want to see what can grow there. So there's things that are growing. I want to give an example from Scripture that I just think is a good example, and that's when Jesus feeds the 5,000. And he gets the people to sit down, and the disciples go around and they say, well, how are we going to feed all these people? We don't have enough food. And they say, well, let's see what we've got. So they walk around and they say, well, we've got 5 loaves and a couple of fish. And Jesus takes that they have and he blesses it and it feeds the whole crowd. So I think we're in that stage where we're looking around and seeing, what is it that we have? I dare say if the boy had had a granola bar and a pepperoni stick, the people would have been eating granola bars and had pepperoni sticks, and there would have been baskets of that left over. So what's growing in our congregation? What's growing among our people that's organically growing that could be a blessing? Maybe it's sewing lessons that you're giving. Maybe it's gardening. Maybe it's something that what kind of relationships are being built that can be grown and blessed, and that can be a blessing to ourselves and to others. So I would encourage you to think about those things and to pass them on to the staff, to ministry leaders, to someone in council. Say, how do we make this grow? Instead of looking to see what somebody else is doing, what's growing in their garden, let's look at what's growing in ours. What happens in Seattle doesn't really help us, or Philadelphia, or in Calgary, but what happens in Maple Ridge and Pitt Meadows, that's the soil that we are living in, and that's the soil that we need to grow. Let me change topics. A couple of other things from council that I just want to mention. One is we are looking for nominations for council, both elders and deacons. We're actually looking for 1 elder, as Brian Hansma is retiring. We're looking for 3 deacons, as Maria Kovacs, Sylvia Vanderkuyp, and Robin DeHaan are retiring. We want to thank those people. Some have served longer than their regular term. We want to thank them for the work they've done. But we do need new people to step forward. And I think it's an interesting time to be on council as we get to kind of reinvent what it is that we're doing and to lean into those things. So volunteer or nominate someone. Send those nominations to the council, to the church office, and we're hoping that in September, maybe October, that we'll be able to appoint new people, 3 deacons and 1 elder to those positions. Finally, I just want to say that we're also working, council's also with staff is working on our membership program, or membership to the congregation. Right now it seems kind of fuzzy as to how to become a member. The path isn't that clear. So we're hoping to clarify how people can become a member, what's involved in becoming a member, to hold a class and so on, to do that on a regular basis so we can enfold new people more easily into our congregation. And so we're hoping that you'll see something of that in a few months as well. So with that, as always, if you have a question, a compliment, or a concern, feel free to contact the staff or a council member. And as always, please pray for each other so we can experience God's blessing now, and especially now, but also in the future. Thank you very much.